Sunday. It's a nice day today, which is good. I did come out here about 7 o'clock. I think we've just gone past the shortest day, or it's today. And it was dark and it was freezing, so I went back in and then came out a bit later. But I've been playing with my louvre press. I've modified it a little. I ended up taking maybe 3/16 of an inch off the depth, so I made it lower, which solved the problem of tearing the corners. It just wasn't pushing in, not pushing down as far, seemed to make a difference. You can see my progression of test pieces here. This is when it was quite deep, and then later on I got shallower and shallower, and that's working really nicely. I also, it's a bit hard to see, I also sanded all of this and polished it a little bit just with a wire brush just to make it smoother. I use lots of WD-40 when I'm punching it, and I did make somewhere a little template to remind me which way round this goes, because it would be terrible to punch these the wrong way. Yesterday I went out and I actually went to Southwards Car Museum, popped in there to have a look at the cars there and have a look at the louvers on all of those. And it's really interesting because it's one of those details that normally you don't really notice them. They're sort of there, but you don't pay attention. And this is what I find with a lot of things on the car. I'll make specific trips to Southwood just to look at a particular detail. Louvers was fascinating because there's all different styles, all different shapes, different widths. A lot of the American cars pinstripe them, so there's actually a stripe of paint on the back of them to bring them out. There's a really nice Chrysler, I think it is, 1930s Chrysler, and the louvers are actually shaped in little sort of chevron type patterns. There's 3 of them down the bonnet. So they're all different shapes to give you this sort of arrowhead type shape, and they're painted separate, so they really stand out. What else did I notice? Whether they go in or out depends. The pre-war MGs seem to have them that way round, so facing inwards, like that, I think. Not sure which way round. There's different lengths, of course. These are 7-inch long. A lot of them are shorter. One car, there's a Alfa Romeo C6 there, and on the bonnet it's actually got them both ways round. So you've got a row of them kind of like this, and then at the front of the bonnet you've got a couple which actually go like that. So that's on one panel, you've got both sorts, both directions. Another car, I think it's called a Marindez. I think it's a 1940s or 50s car. It has a couple of lines of louvers punched down the middle of the bonnet. So one line either side of the bonnet hinge. So sort of one there and one there. And if you look at them carefully, you can see they're not even. One side is at least half an inch further away from the center line than the other side. But normally you don't notice things like that. You just sort of see the effect. But after doing lots and lots and lots of tests, I decided I just have to go for it. I could fiddle around with it for ages. So I've done the first side panel. I punched 6 of them in there. The height's going to be different to the other side, but I don't think anyone will notice that. But I've made the gap at the back the same. So the other panel, there's 6 of these, it'll have 20 of those, and that spacing will give the same gap either side, 20 in the middle, and they've come out okay. Pretty sharp, look nice from the bottom. I did have lines drawn on here to be able to guide myself. The really important one is getting the first one straight, because you're referencing everything off that one. I used a little square on the edge here to go down to my line to make sure I wasn't drifting like that, side to side. The shear on this is starting to get worn out already, or else I haven't got it adjusted properly. and it's actually tearing a little bit on one edge, just in the very corner, but not so much that it makes too much difference. You can actually see it maybe. The edge is a little bit wobbly, but again, I don't think anyone's really going to notice once it's all painted and they get a bit of filth around them, which is kind of what I want. I don't want a perfectly clean car. I'd like it to be grimy, and around louvers is one place where you're going to pick up dirt. So punch those. I did a little bit of flattening down just with a hardwood block just to keep the backs square. Do them all exactly the same, so once it punches through, shears through the metal, I do the same number of pumps to get them to sit down, and they've actually come up really well. So I'm going to put this back on the car and see what it looks like. I've been slowly bending the bonnet. It fits better. I need to twist it. So that's why I've got the sandbag on there, just to put a bit of weight on it so it's sitting in the final position. But yeah, I think those have come out okay. This is where you can agonize over exactly where the positioning of them should be, but I don't think it matters too much. At the end of the day, nobody really notices them. They're just kind of there. But they've come out okay. And a little bit of a dent on that one. But I think that should be good. So next, hopefully it'll last for the other 20 on the other side. They do look good from back here. I was thinking about, so you can see I've almost got this to fit now. What I might actually do is make two little brackets that go from this panel under these screws. I've got those two screws there. I'll make a little plate that goes on there. I may just use those flush mounted pop rivets. I'll see if I can get some actual countersunk plain rivets maybe, or I could just weld it, although I think I mentioned in one of my last films, plug welding through aluminium sheet like this is harder than you think. But if I make a couple of tabs that hold the top of that, pull it in, I think that'll be nice and secure then. Should be all it needs. But yeah, I'm really pleased with those. It's 5:15 or so now. I'm just packing up because it's starting to get cold. I had to go out and cut the grass before it got dark, and it was getting freezing. One thing I found is these really cheap fingerless gloves, they're just acrylic, they're not even proper wool, are really good for metalworking. They last longer than these leather welding gloves, which you see are all just coming apart. Keep your fingers free and keep you warm. But I've been tweaking this panel, still not quite sitting down, but it's much closer. You can see now it just takes a little bit of pressure to get that to sit. And I've started doing the other side. I need to convince head gardener that we need to go on a date to the new tip shop, the recycling place, because I saw they've got some nice scaffolding boards, and her car's big enough to fit them in. I want to get a few, and I'm going to put them across here just to fill in these gaps a little bit, because what I'm finding is I quite often need to step around the front of the car sort of in here, and it'd be nice if it was just raised up just a little bit. But I used my paper template, remains of it there, to trim out a piece of aluminium. I've folded the edge over, and it's a little bit oversized at the moment, but you can see I've started shaping that. It's not finished yet. I've got the same problem as I have on the other side, which is it needs a twist to it. So you can see, you can get one end to fit reasonably well, and then the other end sticks up. So I need to sort of twist that corner down. And you can see my line there across the bottom. I've worked that out. So that the hinge line is going to be where that tape is. Awkward bloody thing. And to roll the shape, I've been doing what metal shaper Tom suggested, which is the rubber band and the wheel lengthways. I still shape it by hand over my cylinder and my piece of oily pipe, but then I can use that to sort of smooth it out and blend it in. I was able to wheel all of the marks out of this one in the end. Well, most of them. There's still a few in there, but it's close enough. And I should be able to do the same on the other side. The louvers look really good. Very pleased with that. This is one of my test pieces. But just to remind people, this is what I'm doing for the side hinge on the bonnet. It's all integral to the panel. This was my test one that I made on the Austin 7. I need to make that gap a little bit smaller so that that line isn't so deep. But I have measured that extra edge on the bottom to do this sort of wraparound for the fingers. And you may be able to see how these are cut. They're sort of interlocking. So this one goes up, rolls that way. This one, this one, this one. And then on this panel, they do the opposite. They come down, fold 180, then come back and roll up. And this was my little test piece that I used just to check my measurements. So this will go there. This is 3/16 brass rod for that side hinge. And you just kind of hammer it in. It all self-supports. I don't think it'll come out. If it ever started walking out, you probably just put a little bit of Loctite on the ends or something that'll stop it moving or pin it. And there's my book with all the calculations. So get the shape correct, get it trimmed on the edges, and then I can cut this bottom part. Doing all of this notching is not fun. So I use my little hand nibbler, and it's really hard on the hands, and it takes a long time. But at least I only have to do one side on this car, which is good. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. And yeah, that gap at the back is because I am going to put the straps behind the louvers because there is room when you do it like this. And there'll also be a catch, a little sprung catch back and front. So that's where I'm going to finish for the weekend.